I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we all are. I rise to lead the debate on the Nigerian Independent Warehouse Regulatory Agency Establishment Bill 2021, SB 851.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, permit me to first express my gratitude to you for the opportunity to lead the debate on the general principles of this all-important bill. This bill was read for the first time on Tuesday, 16th November 2021, 6 to A, established the Nigerian Independent Warehouse Regulatory Agency to regulate the operations of licensed warehouse and to provide a regulatory framework for trading in warehouse receipts and for other related matters. B, enable depositors store agricultural or other commodities in commercial warehouses, and upon issue of negotiable warehouse receipt by the warehouse, be able to use it as collateral to obtain finance from financial institutions. C, make warehouse receipt valid negotiable instrument. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, we do not need to spend more time describing and complaining about the current economic downturn, which is biting hard on everyone across the nation. I think we should focus on providing credible and practical solutions to the present unfortunate economic situation. As legislators, one of the major ways we can meaningfully intervene is by enacting relevant laws that will stimulate rapid economic recovery. One of those important laws is this Warehouse Receipt and Other Related Matters Bill 2021. Warehouse receipts will provide an important addition to negotiable instruments in our country's financial sector. Backed by the underlying commodities, they are an integral part of the marketing and financial systems of most industrial countries. The overall efficiency of markets, particularly in the agribusiness sector, is greatly enhanced when producers and commercial entities can convert inventories of agricultural raw materials or intermediary of finished product into a readily tradable device. Since warehouse receipts, negotiable instruments, they can be traded, sold, swapped, or used as collateral to support borrowing. This bill, if passed, will provide farmers with an instrument that will allow them to extend the sales period of modestly perishable products well beyond the harvesting season. When delivering the product to an accredited warehouse, the farmers obtain a warehouse receipt that can be used as collateral for short-term borrowing to obtain working capital. That way, the farmer does not need to sell the product immediately to ease cash constraints. The availability of secure currency for which real interest rates are lower, particularly if the loans are made against inventories of an export commodity, thereby hedging against the foreign exchange risks of foreign borrowing. Also, since high interest rates are often linked to perceived risks, particularly when it concerns agriculture, secure warehouse receipts will reduce risks and lead to lower lending rates. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, collateralizing agricultural inventories will lead to an increase in availability of credit, reduce its costs, and mobilize external financial resources for the sector. Warehouse receipts will contribute to the creation of cash forward markets and thus enhance competition. They can form the basis for trading commodities since they provide all the essential information needed to complete a transaction between a seller and a buyer. Their availability will thus both increase the volume of trade and reduce transaction cost. Since buyers need to see the goods, transactions need to take place at either the storage or inspection location. Indeed, with a functioning warehouse receipt system, commodities are rarely, if ever, sold at the warehouse proper. A transaction can take place informally or on an organized market or exchange. In either case, the warehouse receipt forms the basis for the creation of spot or cash market. If transactions involve the delivery of goods on a future date, warehouse receipts can form the basis for the creation of forward market and for the delivery system in a commodity futures exchange. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the importance and benefit of warehouse receipts are indeed enormous. However, for a warehouse receipt system to be viable and inspire confidence, it must be by an act of parliament that will guarantee the relevant conditions. The lack of an appropriate legal environment is probably the single most important constraint on the creation and acceptance of warehouse receipts in countries like ours. And that is what this bill is seeking to cure. This bill also seeks to establish an agency to be overseen by a board that will generate for government in the discharge of its statutory obligations, which will include licensing of warehouses, regulation of the operation of licensed warehouse operators, and reliable warehouse certification to guarantee basic physical and financial standards. Verification of the quantity and the quality of stored commodities based on national grading system, among many other functions as outlined in Section 7 of the bill. This will ensure the integrity of the system. As a revenue-generating body, the agency to be established by this bill will have the capacity to generate enough revenue to fund itself and much more to be flowed back into government coffers. In line with our Order 773, the Compendium of Financial Implication is attached for your information and attention. Mr. President, the Ninth Senate, since its inauguration, had extensively discussed and profiled solutions to our ailing economy. And among the issues discussed and emphasized was the issue of diversification, especially going to the area of agriculture. Agriculture, as it stands, government cannot provide all that is needed, and government cannot do direct agricultural business. It is the people, the farmers, and this instrument, which this bill is trying to support, is an avenue of achieving that. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support the second reading and eventual passage of this bill. By doing so, we will have played an important part in ensuring quick recovery of our ailing economy, thereby bringing to an end the wanton, unfortunate, and preventable hardships that many Nigerians are going through because of the current state of our economy. Thank you, Mr. President.
I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me first commend and congratulate my brother, distinguished Senator Sadiq Umar Suleiman, for bringing up this very important bill. It will be recalled, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, when we had the recession in 2016, the 8th Senate then looked at a couple of interventions. And I think the warehouse regulatory agency was one of such interventions we looked at. I cannot remember exactly what happened, that the bill was not perhaps assented to, but I remember we did work on it. And the importance of this bill is as apt as the time I was talking about. The point to be made here, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is this. With this kind of body, our farmers, especially in agriculture, and many other small and medium enterprise producers, we have a system where due to price, they can take their wares or their commodities or their produce under care of the warehouse, collect a receipt, and that receipt is what they can use to get some cash to get by. The idea here is to serve as a price modulatory mechanism so that our farmers, usually at the period of bumper harvest, they are just giving discounted price. But with a warehouse receipt system, the commodities can be properly standardized and kept, and when prices are good, they can be sold off, and then, of course, the farmer will get a better price for his product. This will encourage farmers to go into production, unlike the present system where they don't really have a choice. When they produce, sometimes they are eager to even sell off the commodity while it is still in the farm. So I think, without mixing words, this bill is very apt. This bill will guarantee what I would call livelihood security for our small and medium, farmers, enterprises, and the like. And of course, the whole idea is for you to have a standard so that whatever is going to be kept in the warehouse is going to conform to that particular standard, while also guaranteeing farmers a better return as a result of price movement. Mr. President, without taking much of your time, I recommend this bill and urge my colleagues to approve that it be read the second time. I so move.
Issues surrounding this bill, ably moved by my brother, distinguished Senator Sadiq Umar. All I want to call on the sponsor of the bill is that we also need to be very careful about integrating the existing commodities exchanges that we have. We have an existing Nigerian commodities exchange. We have private participants in the sector like AFEX trading, which also deals in a bit of commodity exchange. What I would envisage is that the bill, section of this body, would ensure that we democratize the operations of these warehouses. Because right now, I think the problems with the exchanges we have is that they are a bit elitist. They are in Abuja, they are in Lagos, they are focusing more on solid minerals rather than go into pure agricultural produce. And that is where it is required. Mr. President, someone like me coming from an agricultural background knows that the average farmer uses his harvest as a sort of bank. He harvests, keeps it in his store, and then when the farming season comes up again, he has to sell some of it to buy fertilizer and so on. So you find that there's a fluctuation in prices. At a time, everybody brings his goods into the market, the price crash, and then if you have warehousing at that level, then the man can just go and drop his harvest with the warehouse, collect a receipt which he can discount, and if he gets the money, he can always go back, either collect his commodities on the redemption of what he has pledged, or collect money and go and do something with it. But we certainly need a situation where this proposed body would now create a regulatory environment to ensure that the activities of the commodity exchanges as they exist now go down to the grassroots level. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The proponent of this bill and all those who have spoken. But most importantly, I want to thank Senator Adeja for that observation, an observation I believe ought to be looked into during the public hearing, and I'm sure the committee will ensure that reconciliation. Having said that, I'll go ahead and put the question. Now, those in favor that this bill be now read the second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Distinguished senators, a bill to provide for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigeria Independent Warehouse Regulatory Agency and other related matters 2021 SB 851, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Independent Warehouse Regulatory Agency and other related matters 2021. Second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Industries to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.